Do you need something to brighten up your day? Welcome to Activist. I'm Gareth.
And I'm Jackie. And today it is our huge pleasure to introduce you to the co-founders of one of our very favourite animal sanctuaries. Gude and Tony Frier are the founders of Broome Animal Sanctuary.
In this episode, we talk about the realities of running a sanctuary and go real in depth. We also have plenty of laughs along the way as we get introduced to some of the characters who reside there. If you like this content, then smash that like button. If you've learned something, drop a comment below, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel to learn more. We hope you enjoy this as much as we did, and I will say now, my face is hurting from smiling so much, so we hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
All right, Tony and Greg, it is such a pleasure to have you with us today. I have to admit, I don't know if you've seen me on Facebook, but I feel like a serial Leica stalker type person because I'm forever just loving all your content, you know, and as full-time activists, we see and hear and interact with a lot of emotionally triggering, you know, horrible content on our social media. And so it's been such a blessing to come across you both. And every time that we have a hard day, you know, we just, there's a lot of negative stuff going on that we've been faced with during the day. You know, we know that we can always go to the Broome Animal Sanctuary page, and it just makes the world a better place, doesn't it? You know, we can see what the world can become, which is this wonderful place of love and compassion and a safe haven for the animals. So we can't wait to talk more about the wonderful sanctuaries and the residents, because, you know, we're very familiar with those and look forward to introducing them to the viewers. But first, we would love to know more about you guys as the caring souls who created it. So having made the break from New Jersey to start a quieter life, that was the plan. It wasn't long before Waddles, who we'll talk about soon, ended up founding Broome Sanctuary, assisted by yourselves, of course. So when moving to the country, was veganism actually a part of your lives already then, or was it something that kind of blossomed once you were in a different place, somewhere that you could really connect with the animals?
That actually came later. We owned a restaurant in Jersey City at the time, and Greg wanted us to have a place to get away for the weekends, but be close enough that we could get back in case of an emergency. So we found this was perfect for what he wanted. And so Greg, he has a full-time job, and he has to work away sometimes, and this was the perfect place for him. So I thought, I'll get him a little pig name that's for Waddles. And I guess if we got him in,
we got him. So we saw a picture of Waddles from our contractor in May, and I had already decided that I was just going to live here and work from here rather than commute back and forth, just to be here. It's easier for me with the computer job. So our contractor showed us a picture of his farm, and he had a litter of pigs, and one had spots all over it. And I was just like, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I didn't know anything about pigs or anything at that point. And that's all I said. We were just at this guy's his bar, I think, and he showed us this picture. And then
his birthday was coming up in June, so I thought, well, I'll get him Waddles for his birthday. So that's what we did, and he immediately became vegetarian. I didn't become vegetarian until November, but at that point, I actually thought vegan and vegetarian was the same thing. So I thought we were doing a good thing. So we were approached by a group in Hoboken that does animal rescue, or they do lots of lecturing about veganism and the environment. And they said, well, why don't you become vegan? And I thought we were, basically. And so once they explained to me what the difference was, the atrocities, the factory farming, and the dairy industry, I thought, no way, you know, humans aren't that cruel. There's no way, these people are crazy. So Greg did some research, and he started showing me videos and stuff. And at that point, that's when we decided, that's it. We can't be a part of the problem anymore. That's when we decided to become vegan.
I mean, we were disconnected, just like, you know, most everyone is. No one knows. Even owning a restaurant where we sold meat products, animal products, you know, the vendors brought them to us. That's as much as we gave it a thought until, you know, we met Waddles, and we actually first got some chickens just so we could have eggs from our chickens. And then obviously that stopped. Now we feed the eggs back to our chickens. But it was a process, a pretty short process for us, but we were just disconnected like everyone else.
We actually made the restaurant in January that year vegetarian, and it did really well. But once we learned about veganism, we thought we're going to make it vegan now, and we committed to giving it 6 months. And if it didn't work, we were going to close it up or sell it. And at that time, I guess they just weren't ready for veganism down there, so we wound up closing up the restaurant, selling it. We kept our commitment, and this is what we'll be doing for the rest of our lives to redeem ourselves for the part that we played in the atrocities.
Wow. It's such a fantastic story. It's so
I always love hearing everyone's stories, but yours is, it's really different. And it just goes to show that those outreach groups, they really do work.
Yes,
they do. Yeah. And getting a pet pig helps too. It's going to be a big pet pig, but
what an amazing birthday present. It's my birthday in December. I'm just letting you know that.
Yeah, it must have been such a learning curve though, taking on Waddles, because I've heard that there is a lot to learn about caring for pigs.
Oh, definitely. And thank goodness for Google, because even where we moved to, we barely had connectivity here. We were on a DSL line, so we barely got anything. We don't have cell service, but anytime Waddles would cough, I'd run inside and Google, why is my pig coughing? What's doing? When we got him, he was, 20 pounds. Now he's 790.
Yeah.
We knew he was going to be big. It's not one of the cases where we thought he was going to be a, teacup pig. Greg
would let him lay on him when he was a baby, and he would get pictures of Waddles laying across his chest. And I wasn't living here at the time. I was still in Jersey City. So I would see a picture I would see him getting bigger and bigger. And I would just see him getting bigger and bigger. I said, you got to stop letting him lay on you. I'm going to come home and you're going to be crushed to death by Waddles.
They grow fast.
Oh, that's so cool. It's really neat. You guys have got several pigs, which we'll talk about. But, when we were visiting animal sanctuaries here in New Zealand, we were really surprised that, a lot of problems that people have, a lot of reasons that pigs end up at animal sanctuaries is because they actually get loved too much. People don't know what to feed them. And so they just feed them everything. They feed them cakes and all the pies and all the pastries and all of that thing that, we're raised to think that that's what pigs love and that's what they need. And you end up with these massively overweight pigs that can't see. And, it's really interesting. So there's obviously, a lot more to, now, at least if your pig coughs, if anyone's out there with a pig and it coughs, you can Google that.
Yeah, you can Google it. You can go, and that goes for every species. Google is a lifesaver sometimes. So, yeah, definitely.
I bet.
So, a key aspect of the sanctuary's mission is to raise awareness of the plight of farmed animals and to encourage people to choose compassion. Having spoken with many sanctuaries over these last couple of years, a familiar concept comes up about this issue, and that's having the animals being the ambassadors. And obviously Waddles was your ambassador towards veganism. Do you find this is true to Broome Animal Sanctuary, in fact, that your animals are the ambassadors out there? I feel like Jones's story in particular, how he escaped from a slaughterhouse truck, might be quite relevant to this.
Sure, and that's actually really current. This past weekend, I was out just doing yard work along the fence line, and an older couple stopped by and said, they had actually come to our vegan festival the year before, but they asked what recent residents we had, and I told them a little bit about Jones, and I said that Jones came from the southern states, and he was on his way to there, and he jumped off the truck, and someone rescued him. We actually had 2 other pigs coming up from North Carolina at the same time. So he found his way to them. They always find their way to them from someone. So when he got here, he had road rash all over him. He was a tiny little guy. He's getting bigger by the day. But this couple, after I told them about, all of these different animals, the gentleman, when he was driving away, he said, we're interested in volunteer opportunities. We live in Catskill, which is a half an hour away. he's like, the story about Jones, the pig that jumped off the truck, really got me in the heart. So definitely Jones is a new one. A lot of the different stories, like
we have a large farm pig named Peaches that we got 3 years ago. But Peaches was a piglet at the time, and she's from New Hampshire. And it was a little kid won her at a pig chase contest. But he didn't realize, once you catch the pig, what eventually happens to it. So he was raising the pig, and then once it became obvious what was supposed to happen, he kind of made the connection and just had a meltdown. And that actually kicked off a network of people trying to find a home for Peaches. So they're from New Hampshire. They reached out to a friend in Manhattan who reached out to a friend up here in Middleburg that happened to know about us. And everybody was working together, and we were able to save her. So now this little kid, every now and again, we send pictures to him. He wants to know how the pig's doing. So that helped him make the connection. And she's really touched a lot of people.
Basically, the last year especially has been hard because we haven't been able to do tours. We haven't had volunteers, but we try to, any animal that's out, we try to at least tell a little bit about where they came from. And almost all of them have inspiring stories. So, it's a few that obviously we can't spotlight every animal every day. So, Jones, Joseph, Otis, some get more airplay than others because of their situations. But yeah, definitely we have certainly ambassadors.
That's fantastic. We'll have to, future Gareth, when he's editing this, we'll have to bring up the about page on your website, because you can see all the short descriptions there about some of their stories, and it's just fantastic to go into. And also for our audience here, if you've got a family member, maybe have a look through the about one and pick out who might resonate with your friends and family, because there's just, as you say, so many ambassadors there.
Yeah, definitely. And we are still adding to that daily, because it's slow work adding every story, but we do have a lot of them on there already.
That's awesome. It is, what makes it so special, isn't it? Like you say, they've all got their own stories, and you've really grown, because what started out as a 3-acre plot has grown with the acquisition of a neighboring 16-acre plot in the wake of Hurricane Irene. And you've got around 120 animals now who range from a multitude of species. And, we understand the majority do come to you from farms or zoos, or we're interested to hear also about from animal hoarding situations. And that's been a new thing to me, and until we started sort of going around to animal sanctuaries ourselves, we didn't think that there was such a thing as hoarding. How can you have too many animals? How can you rescue too many animals? We've obviously realized that, well, there are many reasons, in many what am I thinking of?
Many instances of it.
Things that repercussions, many repercussions that come from having, trying to rescue too many animals when you don't have the room or the resources and so on. So, what are your thoughts on this? Would you mind sharing with our audience? Because you guys seem to have things pretty sussed.
Well, that's how we've come up with quite a few of our residents. There was a sanctuary that got shut down in Pennsylvania, and in one shot we took in almost 30
animals. He went down for a couple birds and came back with a trail with 5 pigs. One was 18 years old, but they had 3 days to move 400 animals, I think. So he brought back 30, ranging from ducks to pigs.
They called on a Friday,
and they had to be gone by Sunday
at 4:00 in the afternoon. And it's a 14-hour drive, so I had to hook up the trailer, shoot over there, and we didn't know what was going to happen once I got there. But we take in animals from some of the counties. They'll confiscate animals from bad situations, and they don't know what they're doing, so they reach out to us. And then just recently we took in 4 goats from the New York State, from a lead testing program.
They're 7 years old, and they have been in there since they were babies, where they were testing, doing lead research on goats. they're beautiful large goats.
But we have no relationship with the agencies or anything. We get no funding or anything. We just do this on our own because you don't know what's going to happen to the animals. But we're thankful in these agencies there are some compassionate people that do reach out to the sanctuaries and try and find them homes.
Well, we've heard stories of people having their partner turn up home with an animal, but wow, 30 in one go, like
I like that. I like that a lot.
But it gets surprising sometimes. He does a lot of the on-hand rescue work, and I don't know about a lot of it until I see it. So,
oh wow,
which is fine.
It's wonderful.
Fine.
So glad you do.
One issue on that sort of topic that we see all too often with sanctuaries is owners and operators being pressured and guilted into taking on animals, and especially in these cases leading them to become overburdened or overcapacity. As compassionate beings, of course, we all want to save every animal that we can, but sometimes we're just not in a situation to do so. Is this an issue that you guys face quite a bit with, taking on so many animals? And do you have any advice to other sanctuary operators, when facing that sort of the guilt trip that some people might put upon you?
Well, I guess the hardest thing to do as a sanctuary is having to say goodbye to an animal that's passed away. But the second hardest thing to do is to have to say, no, I can't take an animal. And we are at capacity right now, but we don't just say, no, we can't take an animal. We have a great network that we reach out and we move heaven and earth to try and help find a home for animals. Just this week alone, we got 3 that we were able to get placed. And we have several pigs throughout the country, other sanctuaries that we sponsor that he doesn't quite know about. You just don't want to make a bad situation worse. Sometimes you just have to say no, but you do whatever you can. We formed a great network with some great sanctuaries all up and down the East Coast of the country.
And even if they're not sanctuaries, it's people that transport.
Yes.
People from Kansas,
Iowa
will come all the way out here to pick up a pig and bring it somewhere.
They're the ones who picked up Jones from and brought Jones and the Tennessee pigs up for us. And they've driven pigs all the way from Iowa for us.
As far as the guilt that people try to lay on us, it makes me angry, like really angry, because it's an everyday occurrence. If you don't take this rooster, we're going to have to slaughter it. If you don't take this pig, we're going to have to kill it. It's a family pet. We've had it since it was born. If it doesn't go to you, we have no other choice but to kill it. It's frustrating and it's angering to me. He handles it in a better way than I can, because a woman a few years ago drove up with a rooster in a box, and she handed it to me and she said, well, I don't know what to do with this rooster. It's a sweet little, it was a little tiny silky rooster. She's like, it's a sweet little rooster, but I have too many roosters. So if you don't take it, I'm just going to leave it on the side of the road in this box. And I'm like, first of all, I can see your name and address on the box. And so that's where my mind goes immediately. Obviously, we took the rooster in, which we can't take in any more roosters. We have, 25, and roosters don't get along. But it's an everyday occurrence that we get emails, calls, voicemails. We do the best we can getting back with people, but it is an everyday occurrence that people try to guilt you into taking, and it's not their fault, but they want it to be our fault, and it's frustrating.
You just got to realize you don't want to make a bad situation worse.
Yeah, we can't take them.
So that's how where you have to look at the guilt is you're gonna become that sanctuary where you're gonna have to get closed down because you can't handle it anymore. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah,
some fantastic advice and insight there, especially about forming that network, and then trying to I can't imagine how hard it is for so many people. They're like, oh, I'd love to open a sanctuary one of these days, and they don't understand that there's that element to it,
realities. And I guess those people that try and guilt you into things, they probably don't realize that, like you say, you're dealing with this every day. They don't realize they're just one of many. They're kind of like, oh, it's just a little rooster, what's one more,
Exactly. And that's it. That people don't know that, especially this time of the year when certain stores are selling, chickens, and everyone wants backyard chickens. One of them's going to turn up to be a rooster, and they can't have roosters where they are. They don't want a rooster, and there you go. Yeah.
There it goes, indeed. So that's really interesting. Thank you. I love, I've just made me chuckle there at the start of where we were talking about that point. And some people have credit cards that they hide from one another, and Tony has secret pigs. I love it.
Yeah, it's better that way. Yeah, we've been together 30 years this year, so we know how to separate things.
So palliative care is something that is most commonly associated with humans. Often if a non-human animal is born without the means to function normally, as it were, they're not given that chance to live. It's something at Broome Animal Sanctuary that, really made me fall in love with your work, was how you've taken on so many animals in need of this form of care. One case in particular is Teddy. His story absolutely broke my heart. But following along with it as it progressed, it just made me fall in love with the work that you do there, seeing just how you cared so much for him and made his short time on this earth just so special. It really got me at the heart. So as a sanctuary, it seems heartbreak is part of this job. How do you deal with this when it occurs?
It doesn't get any easier whatsoever. And
there's days we can't talk about it to each other, to other people, which is hard because people want to know right away. And when your heart's broken, you can't talk right away, but we do the best we can. With Teddy,
he was a special little guy. We had rescued a male dairy cow about 3 or 4 years ago, Goofy. And this person who transported Goofy for us was visiting a friend who has a dairy farm, and she saw Teddy. And the guy didn't know what he was going to do with Teddy. And she reached out to us to know if we would be willing to take him. And we were able to arrange it to get him to Cornell. And we knew from the start that there was a real good possibility that Teddy wasn't going to make it. But we were able to, we got a bunch of people we did what we called
a lot of people.
They Teddy sat. They would come over and sit during the day with Teddy, and a lot of friendships were formed over that. And it goes back to one of the animals that was a goodwill ambassador. That would be Teddy. And it's
they would sit here with him for hours and just stretch his legs because his legs were constricted. So they would constrict his legs. He had other issues that we weren't aware about, which was his downfall, like seizures and stuff as well. But they would just sit with him for 6 hours a day and stretch his legs and help him try to stand and put him in his ball pit. A lot of people came out and did that.
Yeah. You want to give them every chance they can. And like I said, we knew there was a real good possibility that he wouldn't make it, but we were willing to give it every chance. Just again, that goes back to redeeming ourselves for what we've done.
Definitely, that was a really special journey, like you say. We watched it as well, and the ball pit, like everything that you do, you just that's what we love about you guys. You just go the extra mile, you do whatever you have to do, and it's great that you've got so much support there. And obviously a really good relationship with Cornell as well when you need them. And a core problem which plagues sanctuaries globally from what we can make out, and I'm sure is probably the case, is those ongoing vet costs. There's just the never ending, and often this issue can become the breaking point for smaller sanctuaries. And I think funding is something that comes up pretty much in every other episode in this series, and is something that people always need advice on. So having previously been in the hospitality industry, as you say, with your Ninth and Coles Tavern, you've now got still this hospitality element at the sanctuary with Waddles Inn, which I just love this when I found out about it. So can you tell our viewers about this feature and the benefits of
it gives us a chance of for people to come up and stay and actually go see the sanctuary, meet the animals. We have a lot of friends and supporters that come up from Manhattan, and
it's about 2.5 hours south of here.
And it's also great to house volunteers who drive hours and want to stay over to help. So it is a great feature. It gives the sanctuary a lot of exposure. It lets people come out and spend time with the animals. And it does bring in a little bit of income for the sanctuary.
We actually have two. There's one in town called Waddles in the Middle, because it's in the town of Middleburg. So it's Waddles in the Middle. And fortunately, that one we kept open during the pandemic because it's separate apartments, where Waddles Inn has shared space. So we had to close it for, COVID-19.
Yeah, the pandemic actually, we most of us realized it was good for the environment. With humans not being around much, the air quality is better, the water quality is better. In December, we actually rescued a dog that someone had dumped up in the mountains behind us. And he's not quite animal friendly yet. So I've actually moved to Waddles Inn with the dog, trying to get him used to the animals.
It's just 2 doors down.
It's just 2 doors down. So that was another good feature of that. I was able to go there and stay with the dog.
Wonderful.
That's cool. Yes, I remember the dog now. Yes, yeah. Was it really December? Max. Wow.
Yeah, it was. Max. He actually posted pictures today of him out with the pigs, trying to get him more used to pigs. So eventually we can all be reunited.
Oh, that's awesome. It's I love, how you guys just do what you got to do and think outside the square so much, like how many sanctuaries would think to do that to bring in another income the way that you guys have. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I must say as well, if we ever find our way over to the States at some stage, I would be.
He said this so many times. Yeah. This is where we're going. You're going to be stuck with us. Because
I want to give Waddles a cuddle.
You're very welcome to. Yeah, you would love it.
To veganize an old saying though, don't put all your berries in one bowl. Something key to any business or organization success is to diversify and adapt, your income streams. And sadly, this became especially true in the hospitality industry during 2020, as you've said. Alongside Waddles in, each month you do
Waddles in the middle.
And Waddles in the middle. You do a online auction to raise funds by selling off your worldly belongings. And also you have an Amazon wish list. And so that's so donors can buy certain items for the animals and directly get things for them. Both of these are fantastic fundraising initiatives. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yes. Well, we're a nonprofit organization. We're a 501c3. So we have our auction group that has about 700 people in it right now. So when a lot of them will donate items also for us to auction off, but when they win an item, it's almost like making a donation. So it's a tax write-off for them. So it encourages a lot of people to participate.
And they get nice stuff.
Greg, we have peach trees, apple trees, we have maple trees, and Greg makes a lot of the preserves and the maple syrup and stuff, and we'll auction that off, and those bring in a lot of money. People just go crazy over that stuff.
Homemade maple syrup does well for us in our auctions.
That's awesome.
Amazon actually has turned out huge for us, both in using Amazon Smile, which we're getting a few $100s a quarter now, which buys a lot of feed for the animals. Our Amazon wish list in about the last month has gone crazy. We've had a lot of medical needs recently, so supplements like biotin and some of the pig sprays and even Pedialyte, nutrients, and then things we need like bungee cords and tarps that people don't think about that get us. We have rough winters here, feet of snow, that our tarps are torn, things are torn. So all of this helps, and we try to keep them updated, but it's stuff we always need. And the mailman doesn't like us too much some days, but they actually he sent his son last week in a separate truck because I think they had 14 boxes for us, which was exciting. It's like Christmas Day for the animals every day. So it's very nice, and it helps so much.
Brilliant.
That's so cool.
I really hope to see more sanctuaries adopting that Amazon wishlist approach, because I think it's such a great thing to, see directly where your funds are going and having that transparency, because that is something important to a lot of people when they're giving donations to certain places, to see that transparency. So yeah, it is wonderful, and I absolutely love it. And we've been seeing it on the social media when some of their packages have arrived, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, I get excited, and I agree too, because I think everyone's that way. You don't know where your money is going to. When you send like pig medicine, you know where pig medicine is going to go to. So I understand that mindset, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. We'll definitely keep an eye on the wish list as well, for sure. It's great to just be able to just buy a bag of goat food or something like that,
Sure.
Just be like, yeah, I did that. It's really nice. I mean, we've been following you for a long time now. And, we understand you've got some big goals in mind for the sanctuary, with the likes of building a lecture room and a cafe on the grounds, which would be amazing. I'd love to hear, what are you envisioning, and what are you hoping it will bring to the sanctuary in terms of sustainability?
Well, we're located in, basically, it is dairy land, it is the beef farmers, it's the pig farmers. So we're wanting to make this a point of interest so that we can get families here to see the animals and make a connection with the animals. Because I grew up on we raised our own animals for food, but as a kid, I didn't realize that. I would, when I'd leave for school, my animals would be there. When I'd come back, one of the animals would be gone and it'd be replaced with another one. So I didn't make the connection till I was an adult. And even knowing that milk came from a cow, I didn't realize the atrocities and stuff. So we're hoping to be able to build something here where families can come, and it's the younger generation that we're going to have to focus on, because at this point, I feel like this generation that we're in right now is kind of lost, but it's the future generations. And if we can be a part of that, helping them make a connection, that's our goal.
And I think the way that we try to do it most of the time, we have our moments, but is in a nice way where we show how loving and connecting these animals are. It's not all about the horrible videos you watch that are necessary, but it's also that, like, look at the smart cow that knows how to open the door on our truck now, so we can't even take hay anywhere. Look how smart and loving, look how this pig is crying because it's in pain. We try to make that emotional connection with people too. As far as the cafe and stuff, we got some good news today, so hopefully it'll be. We're not ready to announce yet, but hopefully it'll be coming up quicker than we expected. Maybe a nice little shop so we can sell our things that we auction, as well as a small cafe.
Absolutely brilliant.
That's fantastic. So everyone, make sure you follow Broome Animal Sanctuary so you can keep updated of this news. You heard it a little bit first here. So
It's coming quickly.
I look forward to that. It's great.
It definitely seems to be a reoccurring theme that's been coming up, especially during this season of Activists, is that whole idea of trying to get the youth on board earlier, because you're a good example of it as well, for not making the connection despite being, either living with the animals at home there, or with Jackie having been part of the dairy industry previously, and for me, I was a hunter as well, and I didn't make that connection there. I occasionally would have that little voice at the back of my head saying this isn't quite right, but I still never made that connection. And it takes that loving, the loving nature of a bond form that can really help. And even for me, it was 2 lambs that we helped to rescue in the South Island here that started getting me ticking on the animal ethics, because I could see just how intelligent the lambs were. We used to walk our little dog with the lambs, and the lambs were, I loved our little Minnie, but the lambs were a lot smarter than she was, so her brain cell would have been lonely. But it was fantastic, and yeah, having that connection can just make a world of difference.
The other night we had this beautiful sunset. It's been a long time since we had one, and I walked out of the door and I looked across at the expansion, and there's Bubba and Summertime, 2 of our cows, standing side by side looking at the sunset, and they stood there for at least half an hour. I got a picture of them. I didn't go over to disturb them, but I posted it. I'm like, here, these 2 animals are standing here just enjoying. So yeah, they have emotions. They see, they feel.
It's beautiful. I love that. I love Bubba, and I love Chance as well.
He's a sweetheart.
So many, just love it. You live too far away. It's probably just as well. You'd be sick of us. We'd be there all the time, but
that would be great.
But apart from supporting the many residents we see on your social media pages, Broome Animal Sanctuary is now also a certified wildlife habitat, and also home to the Catskill Nature Reserve. And can you tell us what this means to the sanctuary, and more so for yourselves, to not just be a home to those you adopt, but also a home to free animals?
Sure. Yeah, nature's always been huge for us. Even in Jersey City, we would have skunks that would walk down the sidewalk, and we'd make sure they were protected and everything. When I was staying here by myself while he was running the restaurant, I saw our first bear come down the mountain, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? There's a bear. And then I'm like, oh, there's a bear. That's cool. And I keep an eye out this way all the time because they come down every night. It's something you have to respect. You have to learn to live with obviously with our residents. Everyone after dark has to be in their coop, has to be locked up. The fencing keeps everything out, but we're in big bear, coyote, fox, mink. Sometimes we don't know. We have to go look them up to see what this big animal is walking across the road. But we appreciate it. I've just sitting right here, literally right here, I've logged 80 bird species at our bird feeders. I'm a big bird fan. And a big bird fan. But I mean, and the nature, I love bats. We have so many bats here. We have just every kind of wildlife. And, they were here before we were. We have a mountain here. They live on it. We want to respect them. And we want to keep them skittish of us because like you were a hunter, we're in a big hunting area. So we want to not get them too used to humans, but we want to enjoy them and be able to appreciate them.
We even, when we, started the garden stuff, we even had bees brought in just so we could help replenish the bees and stuff. We don't do anything with them except just let them exist.
Let them be.
Yeah, let them be.
I love it. I mean, it's for anyone else, it's worth following the page for the photography alone. It's just, you guys have just beautiful images, and we love seeing the bears. Like you've certainly given me a better view of bears as well. Before I was kind of, you raised to think that bears are these scary, terrible creatures, and it's like you say, you got to be smarter. You've got to be careful, obviously, because they're I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of one or get too close, but your photographs that you've shared of the bears in particular makes me realize, it's a bear. They've got just as much right to be here. Why shouldn't they be here? And it's wonderful. And your bats and is it the hummingbirds that you've been getting lately?
So the hummingbirds just arrived last week. I keep logs of when the birds arrive. So the hummingbirds arrived last week, and I got a new window suction cup bird feeder where they just come and sit on it. So I can just look out the window and the hummingbirds are sitting there drinking now. So, I love all of our birds.
That is absolute. Oh, it sounds like paradise. Over here, we've got a bird called the tui. It's Tui. If you ever look them up, Google their bird song. They're coming in now, and they love the sugar water nectar, and they're the nectar feeders, and they've got the most comical bird song.
It is bizarre.
It really is, but it just makes you smile whenever you hear it. Maybe we'll have to put a clip into this or something so we can share the tui with the world. But it's a wonderful native bird, and they're real characters, aren't they? But yeah, your place sounds absolutely amazing. You've got so many animals at the sanctuary, and it must be wonderful to see their personalities just flourish when they're given a safe and loving home. And we know that every resident at the sanctuary is special to you all in their own ways. But I know Gareth has got someone he loves in particular. But is there anyone that you would like to give a special shout out to from the sanctuary that we haven't spoken about?
Right now, we have a pig that's in palliative care, and his name is Romeo, and he's wow,
15,
probably 15 now. He was someone's pet on Long Island, and the gentleman passed away after them being together for 10 years, and he wound up at an animal shelter for a year, and they reached out to us, wanted to know if we would be able to take him, so we took him. And poor little guy was just at Cornell recently. He's got bone cancer, so he's doing really great. He's got a lot of support right now, and that'd be the one I'd want to give my shout out to.
Something special that happened this week. So our wild geese, we have a pair of wild geese that come and hatch their babies here every year for the last 7 years, and they just hatched on Mother's Day this past week, and we just adopted a large goose named Dino a couple of weeks ago. So he started stalking these babies a couple of days ago. So I've been out there just mortified that he was going to hurt them. They just brought him in. He sits beside them and watches over them. They're all out in the pond together. It's 7 baby geese, the parents and him now. So I give a shout out for him for being that special to help watch out for them, because we do have bald eagles, we have hawks, everything else on the property as well. So shout out to him for doing that.
Well, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's amazing.
There's one thing that we've seen quite a few other sanctuaries do. They tend to do a naughty of the month or night of the month, sort of that thing. Is there anybody who's been naughty this week in particular?
Eddie Vedder. In my ear. It's a turkey, the turkey from hell.
A large turkey. We're actually going to have to build an enclosure for him because he's out of control.
What is it about turkeys?
A friend of ours has a turkey called Donald, named after a certain person because of his red gizzard and how much he loved his own image.
Yeah, but, literally, he's obsessed with looking at himself in the mirror. Loves the sound of his own voice.
Yeah, every time we go, that's where actually one of our lambs ended up at her sanctuary. But every time you go into the garden, you've got to take a broom with you just to sort of keep Donald at bay because, he'll have you.
Yeah. And then we have a turkey in the yard that's the sweetest turkey. He loves to come get a hug. So it's hit or miss.
He's a big angry chicken.
But I do have to give a shout out to Joseph because I've always loved seeing him come up on social media. And is he there with you?
This will work. Let me see if this will work.
Oh, is he? Oh, look.
Oh, hello, Joseph.
Behind us right now.
Oh, how wonderful.
No.
Bless him.
If I could kiss him on the snout right now, I would. Hello, Joseph.
That is just gorgeous.
So
That'll make you day.
While I do my computer work all day, Joseph sits right behind me right there.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Yeah, I've always just he's one of the characters I've loved following, and how he gets so stroppy and grumpy and tries to rule the roost as well.
Gareth just loves pigs.
Joseph wasn't supposed to be here. He was just supposed to be a 12-hour layover. And you were in Florida, I think. He was in Florida at the time, and I said, yeah, you can bring him over. He can lay over here for 12 hours and then he can continue on the journey. So he wasn't even here 5 minutes, and I called the end of the journey, the leg down there. I said, forget it. You're not getting him.
Surprise. But now he's with me all the time. So
that's wonderful. I actually love that. And there's another pig thing that I love that you do, which is your weekend photo shoots with Otis. It's great to see you dressing up on the camera and where did this idea come about? I'll have to put lots of footage over this because there are just so many. I especially love the astrology one recently, where you showed him the star map and such.
He's so Otis has laminitis, which it comes and goes, but it causes his hooves to be very painful. So a lot of times he has to stay just in his room rather than venture out a lot. And he gets bored. So I tend to spend a little bit more time with him. And one Saturday he was just laying there and I just stuck the phone over against the wall and started talking to him and just, kept saying cheese. I went and looked at the pictures and I was like, we did a pretty good job to Otis. And the next day I took the book about senior animals, letting them live out to their natural lifespan. And I just sort of read it to him and I took pictures of that. And I do a lot of Halloween hijinks and other things. So I have a lot of costumes and props and all. And as he was, in his room every weekend, I thought, well, I don't know, we'll just start doing this and see how he reacts. And he just sort of loves it. It's just me with my camera and him, and he just sort of poses and we do it. And a lot of people seem to enjoy it. So, a lot of it's just stuff we have around the house that I just take over and say, all right, Otis, let's try this.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And you can see the devotion though in his face. So when he's looking up at you in so many of the photos, I'm just like, there's that really special connection there. And he obviously just loves that time with you. And yeah, it's so beautiful to see. My face is starting to hurt from smiling at the moment.
Sometimes it's even more beautiful than others. I mean, sometimes you've got wigs going on there, you've got hats going on, that pig really knows how to accessorize.
Some Saturdays I'm like, what did I get myself into? What am I going to do today? And then we just take a little photo shoot without any props, and it's okay too. So, yeah.
That is so wonderful. It's something that's so good for, on a different sort of thought pattern, where the world is such a busy place, especially, with so much working from home. And it's something that we've had to deal with, like switching off, going to do something that's good for your mental health and, whether that's going for a walk or anything like that. But, what could be better for your mental health than having a photo shoot with a pig and be like, what are we going to dress up as today? It's a wonderful thing to do. I think it's brilliant. And obviously, it brings up so much happiness as well. So,
and just as a side note on Otis, for about 3 weeks now, he's going out every night and running around. He's taking nice trips. So his feet are feeling good. They'll act up again in the future, but right now he's in great health and having a good time.
That's awesome. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. We could literally talk all day, and I could sit here and ask for every single one of your 120 animals, their stories and photos and everything. But what we want to do is raise more awareness of your wonderful work and the animals at the sanctuary, and get as many followers and support for you guys as possible. So where can they go to learn more about Broome Animal Sanctuary?
Cool. The easiest way to find us on Facebook is you can just go to the website bas.care, BAS.care, and it'll take you straight to our Facebook page, which obviously has our website. Our website is at broomeanimalsanctuary.com. That's Broome with an E, broomeanimalsanctuary.com. And like you said before, our About Us and everything is on there with the animal profiles and all.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you'd like to support our speaker, then follow the links provided in the description. If you're enjoying this content, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a like on our videos or drop a comment with something that you've learned. Your love and support means the world to us, and we thank you all for watching this.